take on the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis today, the same day that Bulls fans everywhere were disappointed at the lack of activity at the trade deadline. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Hey, it's been a disappointing day. No trade deadline activity by the Chicago Bulls, but with that said, the Bulls still have a game today against the Memphis Grizzlies. I got more than enough content on the channel if you want to hear my thoughts on the trade deadline, the lack of activity. Even got a video out now of buyout candidates for the Chicago Bulls, so definitely check that out. But it's game day. It's game day! Chicago Bulls versus the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is a Grizzlies team that has taken the word hobbled, right? The word injured. And it's taken on a whole new meaning for this team. This team is barely a basketball team. Now, I say that, but the Bulls still cannot overlook them. The Memphis Grizzlies are missing so much of this team that is honestly ridiculous. It would suck to be a Grizzlies fan right now. Of course, Ja Morant's out, Desmond Bane's out, Marcus Smart is out, Brandon Clark's out for the rest of the season. Zaire Williams is out, Lamar Stevens is out. You got Jaren Jackson Jr., who's questionable. Luke Kennard's day-to-day. Derrick Rose is day-to-day. Listen, this is a team that's struggling right now. Even Yuta Watanabe is not going to be in the game today, a player they just traded for. It's tough. Right now, they sit in a very tough place, and the Bulls need to capitalize on that and just take care of business. If the Bulls have not taken care, especially if Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, with the Bulls not taking care of business at any other point this season, as far as like getting a big blowout win against a team that they should be, this is the type of game I would love to see the Chicago Bulls just take care of that business against and be able to sit down in the third quarter, man. Take care of the business tonight. And I don't want to see a whole nother 39 minutes from Kobe White. I want to see a game in which Kobe doesn't have to play that many minutes, so we can start getting him some rest where we can between now and the few games we got left before the All-Star break. If you can get rest, if you can take care of business, you can start getting these players a little bit more rest in these games. Then they get the All-Star break rest, and then we can come back and try to attack the games that we got left on the season and finish out the season competitive as AK wants us to be competitive. So when you look at it right now, the Bulls have 4 games left before the All-Star break. We got Memphis tonight, Orlando on Saturday, Atlanta on Monday, and then Cleveland next Wednesday. After that, we get 8 days off until we play Boston on the 22nd. So let's just come in here. Let's take care of business. We got tough games against Orlando. Atlanta's always a team that plays us close, and you know Cleveland. So this is a game that should be the easier game left on your schedule. Can we please take care of business today? I don't want to be here at halftime talking about a team that is getting their ass kicked by a hobbled Memphis team. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be here in the post-game show talking about, well, the Bulls, they let out a stinker. They lost to the 18-win Memphis Grizzlies team. I don't want to talk about that. Can we get this business done and take care of it? Bulls fans are already sad and depressed because of the lack of activity at the trade deadline, even though I've been telling y'all for about 2 months, not much was going to happen at the trade deadline. But hey, it is what it is there. Look, I know I may be called crazy for this, but I really look to bring Marcus Morris to the team because he still plays defense at a good level, especially at the backup power forward spot. I mean, I understand why you feel that way. I don't, though. I would much rather see Julian Phillips get those minutes than bringing in Marcus Morris Sr. Get Julian Phillips those reps. Let him play. Let him develop. By the way, y'all see the black, red, and gold? Ain't nobody doing it like me. Ain't nobody doing it like me. It is what it is. Told y'all I was in my gold era with Bulls gear. We had the white and gold. We got black and gold now. It's the gold era. Everything I touch turns to gold. There you go. Now we got the lights on. So JK in the building says, I'm okay we didn't make moves to make them. I'm really just concerned with our cap space next year and our ability to re-sign Patrick. If we could have dumped some salary, I'm going to be upset. Well, listen, no, I mean, Patrick's getting signed regardless. This front office isn't letting Patrick. That's why, like, when I say things like we may not be able to re-sign Andre Drummond, is because this front office is going to re-sign Patrick Williams. If you heard AK in his post trade deadline press conference today, he talked about Patrick Williams, even citing, well, Patrick Williams is shooting the ball 50%. We're high on him. He's a big part of us being competitive. They're not letting Patrick Williams go. Patrick Williams is going to be re-signed by the Chicago Bulls regardless, but that does mean the depth that we have. We may lose Andre Drummond because of re-signing Patrick Williams, right? Things like that. The deal you gave Javon Carter, unless you can dump it somewhere. Those are things that are going to be more impacted, but Patrick Williams is going to be re-signed. That just is what it is. Also, Marcus Morris can Besson insurance for Patrick Williams, can be some insurance for Patrick Williams, or Craig, just in case if they were to get injured again, plus all we need him to do is 3-and-D. Again, I'd much rather see that go to Julian Phillips. Actually develop somebody who's going to be a part of your future. The lack of direction of this front office is really concerning. If he would have come to the press, there weren't any deals to benefit us, but this is our direction. I think he has no clue what he's doing. Well, if you look, I got the impression, right? This is my personal take on looking at AK. AK seems like a guy who feels defeated himself, and that kind of makes me think of ownership, right? I'm not blaming everything on ownership, but it does make me think about ownership because you got to look at it this way. AK is used to being able to go over the luxury tax. He's gone over the luxury tax in Denver. He's done that before. So now, because of the lack of doing that, right, going into the luxury tax, it's really strung his hands together on what he can do. He, as a GM, right, as a GM, anybody who's had any type of assets that they had to manage, imagine having $10 million in a disabled player exemption just sitting there that you can't use only because your owner won't pay the luxury tax. Imagine how that would have changed the Chicago Bulls offseason, to be able to actually use the disabled player exception that you filed for. We have an exception of $10.1 million, $10.1 million that we can just use outright to sign a player or trade for a player in the last year of their deal. We didn't do it. We don't use it because of ownership. So I'm sure that there's some frustration on AK's part. Don't get me wrong. He has his fair share of the blame as well. But I'm sure there's some frustration there from AK because of that. Anthony Vargas, let's see how the Bulls tonight without a trade, Haize, is going to be all about Kobe White. It was going to be all about Kobe White anyway. Nothing that the Bulls did in the trade deadline would have changed it. That the rest of the season is about Kobe White. Archangel says, hi to y'all. What's going on, Archangel? Haize, would Young be about Kennedy too? Thad Young could be, but again, I'm up and like Thad gave us some really good time here. I don't know if Thad Young is still that Thad Young even when he left here, but hey. I love the brutal honesty, honest questions reporter asked our tourists from the press conference, and the answers he gave, in my opinion, was a guy who is either lying, clueless, or in denial, or a dumbass, or he's doing what his ownership group is telling him. Let's go to Haize Sports, bro. You called it Acme, got me hot. I seen your other video. Great work. I will save my rant for later. Go Bulls. That's funny. Could have at least gotten Bogdanovich from Detroit, but I believe we will sign Dinwiddie. We're not going to sign Dinwiddie. So I don't know why you believe that. We're not signing Dinwiddie. And no, but Bogdanovich, they gave up picks. The Bulls aren't looking to give up picks. Now, had Zach LaVine not went down with injury, I fully do believe that Zach LaVine trade would have happened if he didn't go down with injury. I fully believe that we would have had Bogdanovich on this team and that we would have got a lot of that same package. May have been Bogdanovich and Alec Burks, but we weren't going to give up any picks or anything like that. AK says the Bulls are better with Zach LaVine. Goes to show I knew deep down, even if Zach wasn't hurt, he never wanted to trade him anyways. No, that's publicity speak is what that is, fam. That's what that is. If we are competitive, I got some magic beans to sell them. That's funny. That's hilarious. I'd take Curry or Joe Harris. Yes, I absolutely would as well. Especially if Seth Curry is bought out, which is expected. Don't get me wrong, Javon Carter's still going to be in this team, but you could sign Seth Curry and he could be your backup point guard. And at that point, at least you know he can't play defense to save his fucking life, but at least you know he's going to hit the three ball well, right? How many players can we get in the buyout? Well, we only have one open roster spot. So unless we cut somebody, just one. I'll be honest, I'm not mad. Keep a competitive nature around the team so we don't become a team that's just okay with losing like NC and gradually build out our roster praying this is the plan. But the thing is, you say be competitive, keep a competitive nature. We don't have a competitive nature consistently. Yeah, we've competed in some games, right? But to me, what do you compete? You're competing for the 9th seed. Let's just be clear here. If the play-in tournament wasn't a thing, the Bulls would be competing for lottery spots. It wouldn't be for a play-in. Like, we got to stop acting like this play-in. Like, I get it. The play-in does give you opportunity to get into the playoffs you normally wouldn't have had. But let's not act like we're this super huge competitive team. Yeah, we've won 58% of our games since like December 15th, which is cool. But we ain't competitive. Competing for what? Anything meaningful? That's what I look at competitive. At least you got to be competing for something meaningful. What up, Haize? We're competitive for having $60 to $70 million in salary injured at any given time, but we could have made the necessary trades to not be in this position. That's what bothers me. Well, listen, you can talk about the contract amount all day long. That shit don't matter to me. We had Zach LaVine for more games than we have. Well, no, I guess not. That's not true, right? And Lonzo, you came into the season not expecting Lonzo Ball to be here. We knew that. So that's still up to them to put out a team that can compete, period, in my opinion. How do you feel about them saying we're targeting Joe Harris? Who said that? Because nobody said that that's reputable. Nobody said that. So I don't know where you're getting that. They said that. It sounds like rumors to me. But I do think that Joe Harris could help. Theoretically, he's a career like 43% three-point shooter, something like that. Shooting the three ball bad this year, but he hasn't played much this year either. I know nobody will agree with me, but I'm kind of relieved we did nothing because if we had, I'm 99% sure the move we made would have sucked. Well, the thing is, yeah, you don't want to make a move that's going to make your team worse, right? That's not what you want to do, but you do want to try to get your team to a place where it can be better. So, we'll see. We'll see. Ultimately, we'll see what comes down to it. How much faith do I have in it? I don't know. I don't know, man. Hey fam, can't wait to watch this contending team play so they can show us how to contend as a contender. That's funny. That's hilarious. It would have because of Levine's selfishness to get his season-ending surgery. I don't know what you're talking about there, bro. What's going on, MC season? I'm mostly okay, brother. This front office is worse than the worst. They were both okay with being mediocre, but shit, the last front office drafted well, though they didn't build around them well. But still, the front office hasn't hit in the pick. But Io, so sad. Well, I mean, you can't judge that absolutely yet, right? Because people would have said Kobe wasn't necessarily hit up until his 5th year. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? And it sucks that we do have to wait, but it very well could say we could be going to say that they hit on no picks except Io to next year saying, hey, Julian Phillips and Patrick Williams are really good pieces. So, we don't know 100% yet. Part of that is also because Billy Donovan doesn't play the young players, but we'll see. We'll see. At in end of the day, regardless, so they have to draft better because you're not going to be a free agent destination. We have our salary cap is going to be crazy. So hitting on like a first round pick like we get this year is going to be hugely important to that. Call Zach. The trade deadline is over, so hold off on the surgery and come play ball so we can be competitive. LOL. Jerry and son Michael are a joke. Well, Jerry and Michael don't run the day to day, so you know what it is. We didn't do anything to make us more competitive. Facts. I mean, we didn't do anything as of right now. Wade says, I wanted to see DeMar gone and maybe Vooch, but we did nothing. We will make the play-in, then lose that game. Well, a lot of people thought that last year when then we became the first 10 seed to ever win a play-in game. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that for sure. It depends on where we match. We know that the Bulls can match up well with anybody for one game. Now, their ability to do it over a series, I have my doubts on, but I don't doubt that the Bulls can win a play-in game. Like, I don't have any doubts on that. I don't care who's in front of them. The Bulls can win one game. They can win a play-in game. It's just I don't see them going necessarily much further than that personally, but hey, could be wrong on that as well. We'll end up seeing. Would Terry Taylor be a cut candidate? I mean, possible, but listen, the Bulls have one open roster spot, so they don't necessarily need to make a cut to sign a buyout candidate. So that's they don't necessarily have to. They can keep both. You say you don't care about the salaries, contracts, but it's hard to name any teams that can make a run in the playoffs with top talent injured. No, there's not. There's a lot of teams that have injured players that are still making runs, right? Like let's look at the standings real quick. The New York Knicks became the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. They're number 4 now with both Mitchell Robinson and now OG Anunoby's out, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks, right? Let's be clear there. Injuries. Boston Celtics were out Kristaps Porzingis for a while. The Cleveland Cavaliers were without Darius Garland, and they're still without certain players there, and they're the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference. That's just the Eastern Conference. There are teams that can stay competitive, and that's why you build depth. That's why you build a team. The problem with the Bulls isn't just that it's just the contracts that are out. It's that this is a flawed team in their construction, period, right? And again, when you don't have a true superstar level talent, of course those injuries hurt a little bit more, but that's also why depth is important. So I got to disagree with you there. Again, teams overcome injuries. Now, I'm not saying the thing that, injuries don't matter. Injuries definitely play a part in how well your team's doing. Do not get me wrong. But to say that they were just not competitive because of injuries, hell, we started off the season fully healthy and won 5 out of the first 20 games. So I can't give it the bell on that one. I can't give it the bell. Should the Bulls be interested in Furkan Korkmaz? I'm not, but hey, maybe he's killed the Bulls before. What's good, Haize? Hope you doing well, my brother. I'm mostly okay, OTR. DeLevine kind of pipping us, different situation, but he did his surgery now, and I bet it doesn't ruin his summer. What is it? A 6-month recovery time, that's going to cut into the summer for sure, but it'll be back before the start of the season, before training camp. So I'm surprised Philly didn't trade 2 seconds for Drummond. I'm surprised they didn't either, but hey. Brunson is the Knicks' best player. Tatum is the Celtics' best player. I think if those guys were injured, they wouldn't be as competitive. Well, again, Zach LaVine hasn't been our best player this season. He's just when you look at Zach LaVine's numbers, even when he was fully healthy, hasn't nearly been that best player. Well, again, what's hurt the team most is players not playing well and regression. So, gotta disagree with you again there. Korkmaz will catfish us, kill us, comes to the team, shoots 29%. Yeah, like Luke Cornett. Remember Luke Cornett killed us and then we signed him and it didn't go well? If Kobe is a game like against the T-Wolves, should be a dub. But the thing is, you don't want to bet on him having a game like he did against the T-Wolves, right? Like, he shouldn't need to have that every single time. LaVine been real light-skinned this season. That's crazy. That's wild. Man, out yourselves in LaVine's shoes. Put yourself in LaVine's shoes. Everyone would do the same. Ain't no one going to a vacation in Detroit. Well, you could have stayed and played well with this team, right? That's the thing. It's not like you requested the trade. You open Pandora's box. You got to deal with what happens. That's what happens. You can't bitch about you wanting to leave a team. I get it. You want to win. There's nothing wrong with that. But then when you don't get the chance to dictate where you go. I'm sorry. Zach LaVine has done nothing in this league to where he gets to dictate where he goes. Period. So you should sit your ass down and play better to then increase the chances that you're going to go somewhere better. Period. Because right now, let's say Zach LaVine is cleared and ready to go by training camp. That's not to say that the Bulls and Detroit Pistons can't revisit trade talks. I would have been right about Zach and Clay, but Zach got injured. No, you wouldn't have. You never would have done that trade. I think LaVine at his peak is our best player. He just made it clear that he doesn't want to be here, but I'll agree that he hasn't been our best player. Not this season. I agree with you. Like, over the course of his career, absolutely. But then again, you also have to look at it. When Zach was our best player, what were we doing? Again, I'm not blaming it all on Zach. Terrible roster construction, but at the end of the day, Zach LaVine, even at his best, isn't the player that by himself can get you to the playoffs. He's not a generational talent. He's not a superstar, and that's fine. He didn't cast himself as the number one. The Bulls did that by the way they decided to build the team. Zach LaVine is a damn good player. Do not get me wrong. Damn good player. But he's not a superstar. He's not remotely a superstar. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it sucks. And I wish Zach would imagine if Zach was playing more towards his best while Kobe had also this leap. That's a dangerous backcourt. But we're never going to really get to see it unless he decides, depending on if they hold on to him to the next trade deadline, and hopefully he comes in and plays well then. Hopefully. I'm going to keep it real. Morant has nobody to blame but himself. Yes, you can't control your injuries, but at the end of the day, the first 25 games could have been avoided if he didn't do stupid shit. Yeah, but again, that wouldn't have stopped the injury though, brother. Agreed, Big Drip. He's not a superstar player like KD, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if he did get traded to Detroit, could he have bought himself? You can't buy yourself out, brother. And keep in mind, buyouts happen to players in the last year of their deal. Zach LaVine has 3 years left at almost $160 million, $130 million. No team's going to buy that out. Because keep in mind, when you're buying somebody out, you're buying them out for the remainder of their contract, and you got to come to an agreement on that. He's not going to get bought out no matter where he's traded to. Sucks that most teams in the NBA have gotten better over the past couple of days. While we ain't made a trade at the deadline since 2021, and the last trade we made was 2 second-round picks for 1 second-round pick. Yeah. And the last time we traded a player before that was August of 2021 when we traded Larry. So I love to see Kobe cooking, but we can't expect to do it every night. Not yet, at least. He needs some help. The offensive load can't be only on him. He's only plus about DeMar. His offense sometimes sus. I mean, listen, it's the way that DeMar gets his offense, right? But he's pretty consistent in what he gets you. James Bouknight could be a candidate because of the three-point shooting. I just hope this team can continue to find ways to keep winning. I mean, yeah, Bouknight could potentially be a target, but it's like, look at Bouknight for real, bro. Like, what are we talking about? I definitely agree with you about the roster construction. We really don't have a healthy four that can compete with the league's top fours, and we'll probably get a small guard in the buyout market. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, Jamal. That's a fact. You think Joe Harris can help this team? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Is it rare to see a player improve in their fifth year? No. I mean, listen, we used to be trained to think by the third year players are going to like hit this leap every time, but it's a combination of a few things, right? The combination of one and done players in college that they go to like teams to get most exposure. They don't really go to like the coaches that are going to develop them, things like that. And then there's so many young players now in the NBA coming in every year because of the one and done rule that it's like, it's this like teams don't really invest in that development a lot like they used to. So Zach, in my opinion, is at the same level as Cat or another player that has the superstar potential with their skill set and athletic ability, but just ain't there. Zach isn't even at the level of Cat. Like Cat, like, don't get me wrong, Cat and Zach at their best, at their peak so far, haven't been that much different. But I think the difference with Cat is the position matters. Cat has a skill set at his position that's rare. Two guards your two guards should be a 3-level scorer, right? So that's a different part of it as well. But I mean, the thing is too is that Cat's just been way more consistent, but he's also been on better teams about since the second half of his career, right? So, and he's younger, but not by a whole lot. I can't remember what is it like a year and a half difference. So. I've seen loads of people say they want Killian Haize on the team. I beg we don't. I am not a Killian Haize guy at all. When people were saying that we should get him in one of the trades for Zach, I was like, are you guys crazy? You crazy? So we'll see. We'll see. The fact that we don't have one straight up shooter outside of Kobe White isn't a shooter. Kobe White's a scorer. So that's part of it. Kobe White isn't even just a straight up shooter. He can shoot, he can shoot lights out, but he isn't just a shooter. We have no just shooters on this team. None. Just like we don't have any true rim protection on this team as far as shot blocking. None of that. Haize, AK kept referencing that we have control over the 2024 first round pick. I thought that we can lose that pick to the Spurs. What are the restrictions on? No restrictions on 2024. Our 2025 first round pick is top 10 protected to the Spurs, but 2024 is we own that outright. So we do have that unprotected completely. Let's say DeMar walks in free agency because we won't pay up. I don't think he'll go to a crap team with cap space. So who does that leave? Philly? Well, the thing is I think that any team that's interested in DeMar is probably going to be a team over the salary cap, which is why I do think that the Bulls are taking this calculated risk to say, hey, yeah, DeMar could walk for nothing, but we're going to take the chance that one of the teams that are going to sign him are probably going to need a sign-in trade so we can get something back. I do think that that's an option for it. Spencer Dinwiddie is in the buyout market. Do you want us to go after him? No. I'm good on Spencer. I mean, he's better than Javon Carter, right? But also my left ass cheek can play basketball better than Javon Carter right now. So yes, he would be an upgrade, but he's in the middle of one of his worst seasons. So Austin G says, just listen to your last video. And when I heard Joe Harris was going to be waived, I was 100% hoping that he's the target for the Bulls. I think a lot of people are hoping that Joe Harris can be that target for the Bulls. We'll see. We'll see. Folks got to listen to Gilbert Arenas to know the difference between shooters and scorers. We need shooters who just shoot. Call Matt Thomas. No. Keep Matt Thomas asked where he's at. No, thank you. No, thank you. My guy Haize, hope all is well. First off, there's nobody named Haize here, Hayes. I don't even know who that is. We don't have anybody like that here. But if you're talking to me, Haize, Haize, everything's good, Michael. I'm glad to have you in the building, bro. Haize, who can we logically extend P. Will and keep this core intact? Because I doubt we have much flexibility, even if we do renounce a couple of deals, especially with the second tax apron now. Well, the Bulls aren't close to being on the second tax apron. We have plenty of space under the second tax apron, so that's not a risk at all. Son rolled up on me asking for candy. You wonder how these lives end up going the way they do. Bro said his left ass cheek can hoop better than Carter. What about the right one? I don't know. The right one's questionable. BKR Sports says this team loves continuity so much that I reckon we'll still have Zach, DeMar, and Vooch when they're 80 years old and GTA 7 comes out. First of all, hell, we may be 80 years old when GTA 6 comes out. I know it's supposed to come out next year, but don't listen. Delays happen. Left my ass off. My fault, GS Persian name. Oh, you all good, Michael. I just had to throw you some fun, bro. What if DeMar wants to go to Miami? They're over the cap. Are we just going to take whatever they give us, Hero or Robinson? Do we have any leverage on a potential signing trade? Well, we always have leverage in signing trade because you don't have to do a signing trade. So if a team needs a signing trade, because there's one or two options, right? So a team that's into the luxury tax can offer the mid-level exception and hope that he's going to take it, right? Because they're going to have a mid-level exception. They can also dump salary to another team, so they can find a team where they can dump off some salary to and then try to sign DeMar, or they can do a sign and trade. So that team has flexibility. We have flexibility. We can say no to sign and trade, which means they'll have to explore some of those other options. Now, you're not going to get a Hero back in the sign and trade. Now, Duncan Robinson, that is a potential to get back a Duncan Robinson in the sign and trade. I doubt they give up Hero in the sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan. So those type of options will be out there. They will be out there. Laugh my ass out from Bath or Pain. Reginald Short says, hey, Haize, random question to distract from our disappointment today, but what's your opinion on the show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Haven't even watched it yet. I don't have any interest in watching it either. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. Like, I love the movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but when I heard that the show is completely different, and somebody even said that it's like it's Atlanta, just an action Atlanta, like it has like the same sensibilities. I loved Atlanta, but I don't want to see Mr. and Miss. Like, I don't know. They should have just named it something different. Haize, if you lose half the chat, it's a thunderstorm here on the west side. That's crazy. My birthday's next week. All I want for my birthday is for the Chicago Bulls to win an NBA championship this year. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, bro. Don't even worry about that. Not true, King Cat. Bulls did make a trade today. The Bulls traded our mental health and support this team for continuity. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Haize, if you I already read that one. Vooch does not pa. He does not pa. What's that? He does not pa. Eric Spoelstra would nearly kill himself trying to get defense out of both Tyler Hero and DeMar DeRozan on the court at the same time. I mean, listen, there's no difference, though, than Zach LaVine, DeMar, and Vooch all being on the court at the same time. Those are three guys who are notorious, terrible defenders. So, I mean, team defense is different than one-on-one defense. You can have a team that plays solid team defense even with bad one-on-one defenders. That's why the Bulls were able to be a top 5 defense at one time with those players. So, that comes down to you can team defense, one-on-one defense, very different things. Very, very different things. Hope Kobe turns into MJ for the rest of the 30-something games. The playoff ain't gonna happen. Playoffs probably ain't gonna happen either way. Play in for sure. I won't even say for sure. Play in is very likely. Playoffs probably not gonna happen. Vincent better start playing 2K if he wants the Bulls to win a chip. We in for some long, barely competitive years at this rate. I mean, it depends on how you look, like competing at what level, right? Because that's the thing. Even saying be competitive, it depends on what level. Like the Bulls can be a championship competing team at pickleball, right? But like what level? The Bulls right now are a bottom tier team, but they're competing for a play-in spot. So technically they are being competitive, but they're being competitive for a play-in spot. So Ayo finna go off. Well, I mean, hopefully Ayo plays extremely well, right? Sorry, hit the send button too early. Fishing time, let's go. First of all, that's crazy username. Ayo's my favorite player. Both ends of the floor. Needs to learn how to get his own shots. I think Ayo does know how to get his own shots. It's where though, right? Ayo knows how to create his own shot in the mid range and towards the rim. Now his own, like taking players off the dribble at 3-point range, that's not in this game for real right now. And I don't know if that's ever going to be in this game, but he can still hit an open 3 for sure. When do you think is the toughest time to be a Bulls fan? Post Jordan era 2010s or now with the frustration of how we went all in on the team for a half competitive playing spot? Now it doesn't bother me that, like, I hear a lot of people, and that's not to, I can't say what their opinion or feeling should be on this team. That post Jordan era for a while there until we like got Kirk and Luau and Ben Gordon, that was rough for me. That was real rough. Like you had me rooting for fucking Eddie Curry of all people. So, this doesn't compare to that to me, but it's bad. We got as many championships as trades since August 2021. How many teams can say that? That's crazy. That's crazy. What could cause AK to hit the oh shit reset button? Nothing. You got to look at AK's history, right? And this is why I always talk about this. The Denver Nuggets were, after Carmelo left, never won less than 30 games. Never. They never went full rebuild. They never just sold off a bunch. It's not going to happen. This is going to be a team that is either going to get lucky or players are going to develop or they're going to draft smart. Or, that's why they invested so heavily in a player development department. So those are the options there. That's it. Did you hear Drummond talking about how he has been wanting to play with Vooch? I was surprised to hear that. I mean, listen, here's the thing. For Drum to be playing as few minutes as what he averages, that didn't surprise me because Drum's smart. He knows. The only way for him to probably play more minutes is to play a little bit out there with Nikola Vucevic. So, bro, which player you were surprised didn't get traded at the deadline? I'm surprised Gary Trent Jr., D'Angelo Russell, and DeJounte Murray weren't moved. Gary Trent Jr., not too surprised there. DeJounte Murray, a little bit surprised, especially since the Atlanta Hawks made half their roster available. But then D'Angelo Russell is the real one to me. But I think that also the Lakers didn't make a move because they weren't willing to come off Austin Reeves. So Main thing is we all got each other, all in this dog shit situation. This is why sports is so great, because regardless, we have a community around to help everyone get through the shit. Unless you're a Detroit Pistons fan, it is what it is there. Did Timberwolves take have an effect on their decision or confidence? Did Timberwolves take have an effect on what? I'm not sure what you mean there, brother. What do you think of us signing Marcus Morris? I'm good on that. I'd rather those minutes go to Julian Phillips, personally. That's where I'd rather those minutes go to. Rather than give minutes to another veteran who's only going to be here for 3 months, let's give those minutes to our guy and Julian Phillips, who are actually trying to develop. Timberwolves game, got you. Okay. Did the Timberwolves game have an effect on their decision or confidence? No, I don't think it did. I think this was going to be the plan either way. Really, I don't think one game completely changed their plans at the trade deadline or not. I just don't believe that. Vern, do you believe Arturis when he said that he's got complete trust in Jerry and Michael to do a full-blown rebuild if he wanted to do so? Yeah, I think he does. I think if AK did say, hey, I want to do a full rebuild, I don't think Jerry and Michael would get involved in that. Again, Jerry and Michael are very hands-off with the day-to-day of running a team. They are. They basically are bookkeepers for the team. They own the team. They're basically like, hey, checks and balances, motherfucker. Don't spend over this amount of money. You won't do that? Cool. Do you otherwise? I think AK has the flexibility to do whatever he wants as long as the team stays under the luxury tax. And if he did want to go over the luxury tax, that's where I think Jerry and Michael were involved and really look at where the team is. Haize, do you think the asking price of Caruso is insane? Yes, and it should be, because they don't want to trade him. They don't want to trade him. So that's what I think it comes down to, is that they do not want to trade Alex Caruso. So rightfully so, if you don't want to give something up, you're going to set that price extremely high. Basically, that means that if a team does hit that price, you're fleecing their ass, and you're cool with it at that point in time. Detroit Pistons at least get Wingstop for every win, so they can all eat once every 3 months. That's crazy. That's crazy. Feels like Zach surgery kept us from making any moves. I'm nervous hearing that DeMar wants to stay long-term in Chicago. Man's already 34 and isn't as dynamic as he was even 2 years ago. He's definitely, him and Vooch have definitely taken step backs. They definitely started the slides of their career. They're at the age where that makes sense, right? It was always going to come at some point. We re-signed Nikola Vucevic to that deal, knowing he was probably going to start declining while on that deal. Do you think we'll see more Vooch drum combo now that we've had a game where it worked so well? Only in certain lineups and situations, I think. I thought the Bucks were going to be more active in the trade deadline today, but the Knicks went crazy today. Listen, the Bucks got exactly what they wanted. To me, you already have a team that's new, that's still kind of finding its way to mesh together. You added now a point guard in Pat Bev who can play with Dame Lillard at times. So know that you're not going to start him. He brings some defensive intensity, which that team really did need as well. And he brings some leadership. One thing about Pat Bev, he gonna talk. And usually because of the way that he performs out there and how passionate he is, people are going to listen. Are they going to look at Pat Bev crazy a couple of times? Absolutely. But he brings a lot of what that team needed, I feel like, and we'll see how that can continue. With us being over the cap, does it hinder us from extending P. Will? No, because we own his bird rights. We can go over the cap to sign him. Over the cap is not the bad. The Bulls have been over the cap every single year. It's the over the luxury tax. So those are different things. You can be over the salary cap, but still beneath the luxury tax. So that's the thing to keep out for. The Bulls are going to be well below the luxury tax and re-signing P. Will, but it does push them closer to the luxury tax, which means that they may not do things like use their full mid-level exception. So AK seemed way too scared to even make a decision. I can 100% see him overpaying DeMar to stay until he's 37. I don't agree with that. Bro, why do fans from other teams keep trying to come here for? First of all, you barely have a team. Make sure you're here in the post-game show, bro. Make sure you're here in the post-game show. That's all I'm going to say. Just make sure you're here in the post-game show. But Detroit fans got to fight the wild dog packs for their wings. Eat before you leave stadium unless you're really fast. That's hilarious. Haize, why can't we have nice things? We do. We got Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. We have nice things. Legit, every team above us, except the Magic, made moves this month to get better, which is why my problem with AK thinking we can catch up with these guys without any trades. Well, it's not necessarily trades. You also then need to make free agent acquisitions in the offseason. Here's what I'll say, and I said this, I think, on Twitter. Every year that goes by and that you stay the same, but other teams get better, you technically get worse. It's like this front office thinks, oh, if we stay the same, we're gonna stay at least stay where we are. No, you're getting worse every single year because of age, because of decline. Yeah, you may have some players step up, but you're gonna have some players decline at the same time, and because other teams around you are getting better. So that's what it comes down to. Bro, it's either that he walks for nothing. DeMar didn't take the extension we offered him because it wasn't enough money. Well, no, it's not that. Because I said before, the Bulls can do a sign and trade. Just because he hits free agent market doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to walk for nothing. It does make that chances more likely for sure, but it doesn't mean that exactly that he's going to walk for nothing. We'll end up seeing what happens with that. I mean, we'll see. We're months away from that, knowing that for sure, but we'll see. Starters are the same. Kobe, Ayo. I'm sorry, they're not the same because last time it was Drum. It's Kobe, Ayo, Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic as your starters for today. They better re-sign Drum if they didn't trade him. Well, it's not that easy, bro. It's not that easy. Love everything you're doing, man. Keep grinding, keep inspiring. C-Red. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Cameron in the building says, at least we have our other teams that did nothing that probably need to. Being in the middle of the standings or just outside probably makes decisions to make moves harder. I mean, I wouldn't say, I guess, right? But it shouldn't, because your goal is to be at the top. And everything that you do that doesn't get you there is going to be a problem. So, we'll see. We'll see. Totally called today's outcome. Thank God it's over now. Let's play ball. I mean, listen, we all knew that. I've been telling you guys that for a minute. I don't know why y'all assuming DeMar is just going to leave or do a sign and trade. Vooch waited to the final days of free agency to sign contract DeMar. Well, okay. So I had this conversation with Melvin as well, so I'm going to have it here, Bulls for life. Everything isn't one for one. Last season, when we re-signed Nikola Vucevic, is a completely different scenario. There weren't many teams that were going to be suitors for Vooch. We had more room under the luxury tax. We had $35 million under the luxury tax. We still were above the salary cap. So that meant signing him a lot more easier. And it was a position that the Bulls didn't have anybody to really fill that position. They wanted to keep Drum coming off the bench. This year is different. We have $16 million below the luxury tax. So unless DeMar DeRozan is going to take a hell of a pay cut, it's not the same as Vooch's situation. On top of that, we have a first-round draft pick coming in this year. We had to trade for a second last year. First-round draft picks have basically set salaries, which means that $16 million that we have below the luxury tax, already part of that's going to be cut into because of the first-round pick. We also have Patrick Williams who needs an extension. Again, you can compare that to Kobe, but it's a lot different in the sense that we had more space under the luxury tax last year. This isn't the same situation that DeMar finds himself in. It's just not. And DeMar is going to be more sought after potentially if he does hit the. And keep in mind, the Bulls and Vooch just stopped talking contract extension at some point with the goal of we'll do it closer. Even Vooch said, "Oh, it's cool. No, I'm not worried about it. We'll talk about it closer when we get into the offseason. I'll focus." Right? He even said that. Let's focus. It's a completely different situation with DeMar. Best believe contending teams are going to be calling on DeMar DeRozan. So. But all right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up the stream. Woo! Let's hope the Bulls get a dub today. We better get a goddamn dub against this team, but anything's possible with the Chicago Bulls. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Peace.